Protests over Ferguson and the decision there. Even here in New York City last night, protesters clogged the streets, bringing traffic to a halt in some parts of the city last night. Like on the West Side Highway and the FDR Drive. Concerned Veterans for America CEO and Fox News contributor Pete Hegseth is with us. Pete, there are a lot of questions about the level of security that first night in Ferguson.
And why the delay and why the indecisiveness. And when they did finally deploy National Guard troops there, they weren't used to protect, they were used only to protect the police facility, not any of the businesses that were looted around Ferguson. So there's indication that there was a lot of pressure from the White House to pull back, and when local officials wanted more intervention. Obviously, those protecting local business owners want the National Guard there protecting fixed sites. Instead, they were held back. They didn't want the confrontation. They didn't want the bad headlines.
But why would they want to pull back? I don't even understand that thinking.
Well, the thinking is that by inserting National Guard troops, you're incentivizing, you're creating more of a Molotov cocktail. Yeah, you're creating more drama. That you've raised the stakes. By pulling them back, you lower the temperature. Well, if you pull them back and you allow people to tip over cars and loot businesses, they're not doing their job. So I guarantee you that National Guard commander wanted to be out there on fixed site security, protecting the community they were sent there to defend. They were held back.
And so now they're tripling the presence.
You can triple them. How will you employ them? That's the critical question. These are military policemen. They know how to do riot control. If you're going to let them do that, let them do that.
All right, let me move on to the new defense secretary, whoever that might be. Hagel is out, and now we understand that one of the key underlings that perhaps the president wanted, Michelle Flournoy, one of the top candidates, has removed her name from consideration. This may prove to be a tough search for the president after all.
I think it will. You're looking at a fourth defense secretary for this president. At some point, you got to ask yourself, is it them or is it me?
Yeah.
He's mowing through secretaries here, and it's a reflection of a micromanagement from the White House on national security policy, and none of these secretaries have felt like they've been able to make tough calls or take on threats the way they would need to. Instead, political advisors are driving that decision. So whoever they're going to bring in is likely to be closer to the president, more of an insider, more likely to heed to that guidance. It's unlikely they bring in an independent thinker type, which Michelle Flournoy has been that type of person. It doesn't surprise me she would want to remove her name and maybe wait till a next administration to have that opportunity.
So she wants the job, but she doesn't want the job under the president because he's just not listening to anybody.
That's right. It's insular. They're not looking for real guidance from generals from the Pentagon. They're going to set the terms of the debate, and the secretary is going to have to drive on.
And then when you say she may wait for another administration, you think she's waiting for anybody in particular?
Well, you know, the first female president may hire the first female secretary of defense, were that to be Hillary Clinton. I know they're close. There's an understanding that that might be that type of a step. So who do they bring in? Not quite sure. I think someone like a Joe Lieberman or an H.R. McMaster, who's at TRADOC, an independent thinking smart general or type, would be great. But Jay Johnson's also in the mix, who's the current DHS secretary and is an Obama insider with limited experience, which in my mind, unfortunately, might make him the front runner.
Well, that's what he did with, you know, the Ebola czar, right? Somebody who didn't know anything about health care, but he was a political advisor.
That's right.
Pete, thank you very much for your insights. Pete Hegseth.